Guys, I want you to think about something. A lot of people discussing this case are saying, well, Christopher Watts just didn't want to have to pay child support. Or they're saying, well, Christopher Watts just didn't want to have to pay alimony. Do you really believe that Christopher Watts would have had to pay any child support or alimony? In my opinion, I think Christopher Watts would have gotten custody of Bella and Cece. But let's just say that he didn't. Let's just say that he and his wife were ordered to share custody of the children. 50-50. Let's just say that before Christopher Watts' wife was able to take the kids, to the orthodontist when they got older, that she actually had to have his permission, or his agreement, I should say, not permission. Because shared custody, of course, means that both parents are actively involved in those types of decisions, whether or not they get braces, whether or not they get their ears pierced even. So let's just say that they had shared custody, and Christopher Watts' wife was actually required to speak with her husband and to have his agreement before she took the kids to the doctor. He would have had full access to all medical records, of course. And probably by the time the girls were old enough for braces, let's just use that as an example, he would have been remarried and he would have had a wife who would have also been able to take a close look at those medical records, right? Can you imagine Christopher Watts' wife sending the kids to school on Thursday morning, knowing that their father would be picking them up on Thursday afternoon, and that the girls would be staying with their father on Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and then dropped off on Monday morning by their father at school? Can you just imagine if Christopher Watts' wife didn't have his paycheck to deposit into their account? Can you just imagine if Christopher Watts' wife didn't have his retirement account to dip into if she fell behind? Can you just imagine if Christopher Watts' wife went to pick up the kids one day and was met at the door with Christopher Watts' new wife standing there? Can you just imagine Christopher Watts' wife hearing her daughters accidentally calling his new wife Mom? Or maybe not so accidentally. What do you think? Do you think that Christopher Watts' wife would have been working an actual paying job after a divorce? How much do you think she could afford to pay for housing? Can you just imagine how she would have felt knowing that Christopher Watts and their daughters, and perhaps his new wife, were traveling to spend a week with his parents? Think about power and control. Think about the fact that Christopher Watts' wife seemed to have a need to be in total power and control of those around her. You see what I'm saying? I think there's something we can learn from this case. so that we can help other couples who are going through the same type of situation before anybody gets hurt. Christopher Watts had 5 weeks straight where he could have seen a lawyer, where he could have moved out, where he could have filed for custody. But he didn't do anything at all except spend time with his coworker, right? I mean, he went to work too, but you know what I'm saying. Why do you think he didn't do anything at all? My hunch is that he didn't see a way out of that marriage. My hunch is that he was believing that his wife would get custody. My hunch is that he was believing nobody would listen to him because he's a man. And sadly, I think that that's also why he didn't call for help the night that his daughters were murdered in what should have been the safety of their own home. If what he was saying is true, that he did not murder his daughters, then that means he was evidently too afraid to call for help. Back to the divorce. You know that nut meltdown? I think the reason that happened was because I think that Christopher Watt's wife was trying to stage a scene preparing for the divorce so that she could claim that his parents were not suitable to be around their children. That's just my hunch. Just my opinion. What's your opinion? Let us know in the comment section below.